Hey, welcome to The Cave, where we discuss all geek-related news. Comics, movies, games, and basically who can kick the snot out of who. Today, we'll be taking a look at Marvel and Sony's Morbius the Living Vampire. We're giving you a little brief history on the character, and what this means for the direction of Marvel's cinematic universe. Stick around, we'll get right into it. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jay Lyons. As I said, we're going to be taking a look at Morbius the Living Vampire. The movie's coming out based on Marvel's books. This appears to be another joint venture between Sony and Marvel. Appears they're going to go forward with their shared universe, despite some problems with the business deals that they had a few months back. Now, don't feel bad if you don't know who Morbius the Living Vampire is, unless you read the Spider-Man books or you followed and watched the animated series from the 90s. You're not going to know who he is. He's not really one of Marvel's forefront characters. As I said, he appeared in Spider-Man books. He actually appeared in the 70s. He was made. He was Marvel's answer to the horror genre, the vampire characters. Mind you, they did Tales of Dracula back in the 70s. As I said, Morbius did appear. His first appearance was in Spider-Man issue 101 in October of 1971. He was made by Roy Thomas and penciled by Gil Kane. And he appeared as a villain. In time, he became more of a tragic, albeit just very anti-hero-like character. But he did find in different series, never really was a strong character in carrying his own book. I think there was maybe limited runs, but he's basically the answer to, as I said, Marvel's answer to the vampire, where one is traditionally met with the supernatural. They can turn into bats. They bite people. They turn everybody else into vampires. When they bite. Marvel really stuck with a scientific foundation for this character and his condition. It's more of a condition, kind of like the Hulk, the Fantastic Four. So these are characters that are afflicted with their powers, are their afflictions as well. No different here with Morbius. He can't bite you and turn you into a vampire like he is. His is based more on biochemistry, which is the character of Michael Morbius. That's his real name, and that's the field of expertise he does. So they based it more on that. They kept it in that genre of the science. He can do vampire-like stuff. I wouldn't actually call him a traditional vampire, as I said. In the cartoons, basically, they couldn't show him biting people like he did in the books. That's how he needs plasma in order to abate his condition. And the cartoons, I have to give it to them because they made it more like suction cups that would come out of his hands, and he would drain his victims. Kudos to Marvel for finding a way around that. It was a Saturday morning kids cartoon, so you can't actually have that on TV, as you would imagine. But he's basically your what if Dracula was a hero type. He's got all the drama, all the tragedy, but he finds his way into inadvertently being a hero. Now, Marvel has been diving and into different genres. That's the beauty about Marvel. They have such versatility. They have different genres for everyone. They have space. They have your urban heroes. You have your big grand teams like the Avengers or the X-Men. And they also have their horror genre. And Morbius is not exactly their first step into the horror genre, into the darker corners of their universe. We got that with Doctor Strange. But it was mirrored in subtlety because he was so connected with the Avengers and Infinity War and Endgame. But he is one of Marvel's premier horror characters. Now you bring in Morbius, the Living Vampire. And if you haven't seen the trailer, you should check it out. You see how dark Marvel's going to go. They're starting to go deeper into their darker themed characters. And if you have any doubts on how dark Marvel's going to go, head on over and check out Hulu's Hellstrom series. It's based on Damien Hellstrom, son of Satan. And after you watch that trailer, forget about sleeping for the next couple of days, because man, does that stuff stay with you. They're going very dark, and I'm very surprised. So it tends to wonder, what does this mean for Marvel? What does this mean for their cinematic universe? One, it's shared realities, because you have the Sony side of it, and you have now the Marvel, and they are, where are they going to interconnect? Is this a multiverse? Is this an alternative reality, as far as how close is it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? How close do they want to get? There's some nice Easter eggs in the trailer. You have Morbius walking down an alley, and you have an image of Spider-Man. But it's not Tom Holland Avengers Spider-Man. It is Tobey Maguire, the OG Spider-Man. But it says murderer spray painted across it. So that also gives the indication that was that just a shout out to the original Sam Raimi movies of Spider-Man, or does it mean something else? The murderer, basically, are they referring to what happened at the end of Far From Home? Spoiler alert, Mysterio basically doctrines a video showing Spider-Man killing him and outing Peter as Spider-Man. So is that reference to that? Then you have a next scene where it's an unknown character and he greets Michael Morbius. It's played by Michael Keaton, aka the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming. So obviously there's a connection there. As to where it's going to be connected to the Marvel Universe, it's hard to say, because why would they use Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man? As I said, is that a shout out to the OG, or does it mean something else? Because we already had a taste of the multiple Spider-Verse with Sony's animated movie Into the Spider-Verse, which introduced Miles, Gwen, Peter Porker, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker. So you have already established a multiverse there, as far as the Sony side is concerned. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they're going to go with this. I can't wait. It looks so good. I've never been one of a horror genre fan, but when it comes to superheroes, I can totally get behind it. Morbius basically he's been a member of different teams in the Marvel Universe. The one that stands out the most to me is the Midnight Suns team. You had Blade, you had the Darkholmes, you had the two Ghost Riders, Johnny Blaze and his brother Dan Ketch, and Caretaker. Again, Caretaker's an interesting character, and I was surprised they really didn't show him too much. They showed him they kind of showed what he's supposed to look like in the Nick Cage Ghost Rider movie. Again, those movies never happened. But they're introducing him in the Hellstrom series, which we'll get deeper into on our next episode. But right now, with Morbius, he's a member of that team. That was a great storyline. So I'm thinking, could it possibly be that they're forming their, if you say, supernatural Avengers team, being guided by Doctor Strange as they were in the books? That'll be great if they do that. Jared Leto is playing Michael Morbius. Some of you may remember him from that ill-fated 2016 DC Suicide Squad, where he played the Joker, and it was ill-received. He had some factors against him. He had to follow Heath Ledger's Joker, and Leto, being an Oscar winner, still proved how hard it was to follow that, because it was so cemented in people's minds, Heath Ledger's Joker. But here in this trailer, it appears that he seems more comfortable with the character. His acting style seems to complement the theme that they're going with, and vice versa. The character of Michael Morbius seems to really sit well with Jared Leto. It was just one of those things that you didn't realize until they brought it to you. So it's a really good pick for an actor to play that character, Jared Leto. I really can't think of anybody else that would play this character really well. So with this being said, I can't wait to see what Marvel's going to do with this direction of their supernatural characters and what it means for the MCU on a grand scale. So I'm really excited about it. Well, that's all the time we have for now. Please follow us on Facebook. Give us a like and smash the hell out of that subscribe button. We'll see you next time on The Cave.